So the first thing we're going to do to set up this SMTP integration is create an account with this service called SendGrid. And we can do this completely for free. We don't need to pay any money, at least to get started. Okay. So come here. It's called Twilio SendGrid, sendgrid.com, SENDGRID.com. And look, start for free right in the top right-hand corner. Don't worry about any of this using stuff down here. Just click on start for free. And we're going to fill this in. So what email do we want to use? We're going to use my brand new email, gregory@vhfunnels.com. What do I want the password to be? And confirm that you're not a robot. Accept their terms and service and create your account. So just choose the email you want to use. I'm using my brand new email that I just created. So like the confirmation email and stuff is going to show up in my new inbox right here. And it goes through, right? Okay. So we're going to create our account. Oh, and password wasn't good enough for them. Okay. Hopefully I can remember that. All right. Well, create that account. I can't repeat 3K. Okay. Well, they have very strict passwords these days. I used the same letter a few times in the row at the end. Okay. Try this again.
This is why I always forget my passwords.
Okay. Hey, like my password. Okay, so we give them all that information. Well, we give them our email and password, and then we need to tell them a little bit about ourselves. So there's some information I'm going to fill in off screen here, mainly just my phone number. I'm going to do that off screen. Sorry, guys, but you do need to put your real phone number in here. So first name, last name, company name. We'll put virtual hackathons, company website. So make sure your domain is pointed at something so they see a website when they go to this. So we'll put virtualhackathons.com. Country code, phone number. I'm going to do that last because I'm going to do it off screen. And what is your role? Developer, marketer, CEO, other. For most of you, it's your business, put CEO. I think if you put marketer, they sometimes ask a bunch more questions. We're going to put CEO. How many emails do you send per month? For most of us just starting out, it's going to be 0 to 100,000. How many employees work at the company, especially if you're a solopreneur? We're starting off with something like this, right? 1 to 500. Click get started. Oh, I didn't even have to put my phone number in. Look at that. Okay. I thought you needed a phone number, but that made it easy for us. I have to show everyone my phone number. Okay. So this account exists. And, you know, someone was asking earlier, where's the inbox for this? There is no inbox for this. This only handles email delivery. And the from email that we're going to use is the email we created yesterday. So technically my inbox for this will be the from email. So this is my inbox for it, right? Oh, and look, we got our welcome email. This is probably the first thing I would do when you sign up. Confirm your email address here. Boom. Okay. Address is confirmed. You can review security. That's done. I would actually highly recommend setting up two-factor authentication with your phone. So you will eventually, if you set that up, you will need to have a phone number on here. And in fact, I believe this has to be set up to do one of the steps we're going to do in a little bit. So I'm going to say get started here. And we'll do text message. Let's do text message. And what's this? Authy app. Yeah, we're going to do text message. That sounds confusing. So I need to put my phone number. So I'm going to do that part off screen. Sorry, guys. I have accidentally shown everyone my phone number before. People started texting me questions. All right. So I got my authorization code texted to me right now. I'm just filling that in off screen. All right. And then it just takes me back to the screen that we were already on. My two-factor authentication has been set up. My email's confirmed. There, you'll see. Once we finish setting up some things, it will remove sending limits from my account. Okay. The same screen here twice. Okay, so we have that. Now, next thing I always do, I load up help.clickfunnels.com. Why? Because there's a bunch of little particular settings that we're going to end up setting up, and they're hard to remember. And I've set this up tons of times. So inside of help.clickfunnels.com, if you just search SendGrid, look, setting up SendGrid and domain authentication. Boom. Click on that article. I'll paste this in the chat for everyone. You're all going to want to use this. Boom. There it is in the chat for everyone. There's also a video in here. This is one of the few articles that Yashika didn't make, apparently. Yashika's made like 90% of our help docs. But as you scroll through here, you'll see all the things you need to do. So basically, we're starting right here. Once you have your account created, set up sender authentication. If we go to settings and then sender authentication, we can start this process. So basically, we're confirming that, we actually own this, and we have to connect it to our domain that we created on Monday. So SendGrid, we go to settings over here on the left, and we'll come back to some of this stuff too. We go to settings over here on the left. Where's it? Sender authentication. Settings, sender authentication. Click on that. And there's some things it's going to ask you. First, domain authentication. Choose what domain we're going to be using and verify that we own it. So if we click here on get started for domain authentication, first is going to ask you, okay, where are you doing your DNS settings? We're doing Cloudflare, and I think Cloudflare, it actually shows up in here. I think they have some way of like automatically connecting to Cloudflare. Personally, I don't like doing it that way. I always choose other. They'll ask you which one, and you'll just type in whatever you want. Let's just put like ClickFunnels or something, especially if you purchased your domain through ClickFunnels. Put that in there. And then it says, would you also like to brand links for this domain? Now, I have said yes before here, and I didn't have any issues, but you'll see in our help doc, it says, say no. So we'll say no. We'll follow the help doc. Okay, so back in SendGrid, say no, click next. And it says, what is the domain you're going to be sending from? So whatever email you're going to be using, ours is gregory@vhfunnels.com. What is the domain on the end of that email? Right? Remember ours? Like create a new email, look, gregory@vhfunnels.com. So the domain is vhfunnels.com. And look, it even fills it in the little example for me. All right, so we hit next. And then it's saying, okay, to confirm that you are the owner of vhfunnels.com, you are going to add these 3 CNAME records to your DNS records, right? So kind of similar to what we did yesterday for setting up our email hosting, and similar to when we were pointing our domain to ClickFunnels, right? We just add a few records. In this case, it's CNAME records, which we used on Monday. In this case, there is a host name and a value field, host field and value field, I should say. So we can literally just copy and paste to add these. So let's do this. Here's where I'm doing it in Cloudflare. Now, depending on where you're doing this, this is where a lot of people get stuck. And I'll explain why. But we're going to add a record wherever we're doing that, right? Whether it's here in ClickFunnels, if we bought the domain through ClickFunnels, and GoDaddy, if we're doing all of our DNS management there, Bluehost, Namecheap, wherever you were adding the CNAME, TXT, and MX records, that's where you need to go to do this. Click on Add Record. It's going to be a CNAME record. In the name field here, just copy the first field they've given us, right? So we'll copy this and we'll paste it into here. I want to explain something here. When I put m8575.vhfunnels.com, see here, it says what the record's actually going to get logged as. If I were to put just M8575 on its own and erase.vhfunnels.com, it still includes vhfunnels.com. So this is something that can trick a lot of people up, because in some platforms, and specifically if you bought your domain in ClickFunnels and you're adding this record into your DNS zone records inside of ClickFunnels, if you put it in like this, em8575.vhfunnels.com, it'll actually double that up on the end. The record would get logged as em8575.vhfunnels.com.vhfunnels.com. Like, for some reason, when we're adding those records into our DNS settings inside of ClickFunnels, if we bought a domain in ClickFunnels, it's not smart enough to not double this up. But in Cloudflare, it's smart enough. It recognizes that a lot of people paste that in, and it doesn't double it up for us. So you want to be really careful and make sure that you're entering these in correctly. Just remove .vhfunnels.com from the end. And again, especially if you're managing your DNS records inside of ClickFunnels. That is the number one thing that trips people up. All right. And the target URL, that is just the value that they've given us here. And we can just paste that in exactly as is. Now, if I hit save here, it's probably going to tell me, I'm pretty sure here, that we can't have this proxy. So again, it doesn't really matter what that means. Just turn this little orange cloud off, hit save, and now the record is in there. Okay. And then so we just do the same thing for these other CNAME records. So copy this, add a record. It's going to be CNAME, paste it in. Again, probably just to be extra careful, erase .yourdomain.com from the end of it. If you're using Cloudflare, it'll work either way. And then the value, copy that, paste that into here, turn a little orange cloud off, hit save. That's done. And one last one. Copy the last one, add an additional CNAME record, paste it in. And I'm just for those of you that aren't using Cloudflare, going to erase.vhfunnels.com. And then the value, copy that, paste it in here, turn proxy off if that's an option for you, hit save. And there we go. All three CNAME records are added into here. Now, similar to yesterday when we were doing this in Zoho, it can take some time for things to go live on the internet. See this little field that says time to live? We set it to auto. This could take, sometimes like people will set it to like 1 hour, and it could take up to like an hour. But literally, it should go through pretty quickly for us here. But if it doesn't go through right away, don't panic. Wait. Just be patient. Wait. Sometimes it can take an hour or longer. But basically what you'll do is in SendGrid, once you've added those in, click on I've added these records. Click on verify. And hey, it worked. So mine went through really quick. Click return to sender authentication. And look, now my domain is added and verified. Now, another thing you'll want to do, this is newer. You'll want to add this thing called single sender verification. And it's verifying the ownership of a single email address to use as a sender. This is really easy. Just click on get started. Put what your from name would be, what the from email address is going to be. So the email we're going to use that we created yesterday. Reply to email. I usually just make this the same. And then you can put your company address and everything. See if this works for me. Do Canada. And here I usually just put CF email, something like that. Because it's on the domain that we just verified, it should just go through right away. Right? We didn't have to do any extra steps or anything. Honestly, I don't think this does anything. It just kind of satisfies SendGrid, because our from name and everything is going to come from what we set up inside of ClickFunnels. Oh, I misspelled my name here. I've been practicing that one for a while and I still misspelled it. That's okay. It's not actually going to be used, so it wouldn't actually matter. There we go. Woo, fixed it. Thank you, Crystal. Okay, so that part's done. Now, back in our help doc, right? Once you've done all those steps, right? There's all the things we just did. It worked. Hooray. Set up single sender verification. We just did that. All right. The next step, creating an API key. So an API key is what we're actually going to use to connect this to our ClickFunnels account. So let's do that. And you'll see it's under settings and API keys. Settings, API keys. There it is. Go into there. It's still saying I need to create an identity. We already did that. Stop it, Sangre. Okay. Get started creating API keys. Click here, create API key. We're going to do this. We're going to give it a name. I usually just put CF times SendGrid. Leave this set to full access. Click create and view. That's all we need to do. Okay. Now, this is your API key. We're going to need this. Copy this. You can actually just click on it to copy it. And then what I do is I just open up the Notepad app on my computer or like a Word document or a Google Doc. We need to save this somewhere because we're never going to see this again. We may need it again, but it's never going to show it to us again inside of SendGrid. So put it in a Notepad, save it into your computer somewhere, give it not an obvious name in your computer, like name it like, no, not API key for SendGrid. Just give it a weird name that only you'll know that is what that string of characters is. Okay, so I have that on my Word doc. We're going to say done here for now. That's it. It's now in here. So we're going to use that to connect this to our ClickFunnels account. So we'll come back to this in a second. We just need that little API key available, ready to go later on. So let's go back to our help doc. Literally, I'm just doing all the steps in this help doc. I know most of them off by heart, but you would just be reading this, following along. If you do these steps, it's going to work. Okay, API keys created, right? We did that. Okay, step 3, integrating SendGrid with ClickFunnels. Okay, let's do this part. So this is where we actually get into ClickFunnels. So here's my ClickFunnels account. I'm going to go into my account settings. And we're going to go to email integrations, SMTP. Click on that. Okay. You can see I already have a couple in here. If you're on the 297 plan, actually everyone on this call should be on the 297 plan unless you sneaked in. It's okay. But we can add up to 3 of these integrations. So we're going to click here on add email integration. And we're going to choose transactional and marketing. That's the whole reason why we're doing all this, because we want to use it for marketing emails. And then we're going to fill all of this in. Okay. So title of this integration, we'll just call this the VH Funnels SendGrid integration. Whatever your domain is, SendGrid is usually a good name for this. What your from name is going to be, the name people will see when they receive emails from you, usually your name. What the from email is going to be. So this is where you're going to put in the email that you created yesterday. Mine was Gregory at vhfunnels.com. Okay, now this is the part that I always reference to help doc on. SMTP server, SMTP port. What does all this stuff mean? It doesn't matter what it means. Just go into the help doc. Literally, it will give you all of the info. And it tells you like what to put in here, right? So SMTP server is just smtp.sendgrid.net. Just copy that, paste it into here. SMTP port, copy that from here, paste it into here. SMTP username. So the username is going to be this for everyone. API key. Right? In the help doc, it tells us username, API key. Right? Then the password is going to be the API key we created earlier. That's why I put it on my notepad here. I can copy it from here. And in the password field, we just paste that into here. Okay. Now, SMTP domain, again, reference the help doc. SMTP domain, sendgrid.net. Don't worry about what all this stuff means, guys. You can get caught up in the technical details of this forever. Just follow the steps. Okay. Domain, more than likely, I would choose the domain that's on the end of my email. It doesn't have to be the domain that's on the end of the email here, but it is good practice. So I'm going to use vhfunnels.com. And then all this address info, this is just going to be your address or your business address. Just fill that in. 123 Lake Street, Brooksville, Lake Ontario, and my country. Boom, there we go. Now, there is also a footer that we can add. So this SMTP footer, this footer is the footer that will be applied to every single email we send out from our ClickFunnels account when we're using this SMTP integration. So each email we create, we don't have to make sure there's a footer in the email we're designing with like an unsubscribe link and everything. If we create it here, it will automatically be applied to every single email we send out. And in that help doc, there's a little fill in the blank piece of code here that we can use for that footer. So the footer uses something called HTML. You don't have to worry about what that is. Just copy this, paste it into the footer field here, and then just fill in the blanks on here. So where it says company name, replace that with your own company name. Right? Address, replace it with your own address. Now, whatever you put in here will show up at the bottom of every single email. So be aware of that. If there's anything you don't want people to see on every single email, you can make this just the same as what you put up here, actually. This one here is for phone number. If you have a business phone number that people are allowed to, come in and call you from, put that in here. I don't have one, so I'm going to leave it blank. And then down here where it says unsubscribe, these will be the words that they can click on to actually unsubscribe from receiving emails from you. So you want to have this on here, but maybe you want it not to say the word unsubscribe. Maybe it's like click here to stop receiving emails from me, something like that, right? You can make it say whatever you want. When they click on that, it's going to take them to the page where they can unsubscribe and stop receiving emails from you. Okay. Then you can choose whether this will be the default SMTP when you start creating an email inside of ClickFunnels or not. Actually, I'm going to leave mine off. Click save. There we go. Now the integration is in here. Right? I can click on it and I'll see everything that I've just set up. So now what'll happen is, like, if I go to create a email inside of ClickFunnels, it'll ask me, okay, what SMTP integration do you want to use? It's going to show me all the ones I have set up. I can choose this one. And when I choose this one, the from email and those emails that send out is going to be gregory@vhfunnels.com. Now, we're not completely done yet. We go back to our help doc. Remember, you guys will be following this help doc very closely. Right? We did all these, right? The next thing is we're going to set up SendGrid's webhook. Okay, and all the steps are in here. But inside of those settings of your SMTP integration, it's recognized that we're using SendGrid. It gives us this string of characters here. So a little copy button over here, click on that. Just copy it from here. We're going to copy that string of characters. That's our personal webhook from ClickFunnels to SendGrid. So inside of SendGrid, we do need to set that up. So we're going to go to settings and then mail settings. This is where we're going to set this up. So back in SendGrid, we go to settings and then mail settings. Bunch of stuff in here, right? We want to create an event webhook. That's all we need to do in here. Event webhook. Click on this. And open up this field. Authorization method. I believe we set to OAuth, but I forget. So we're going to check. Oh, actually, authorization method. Leave it as none. Okay. I'm overthinking this, right? This is why we use the help doc. HTTP post URL. That's where we're going to paste in the webhook we copied from inside of ClickFunnels. Right? This URL that I copied right here, paste that into here. Then down here, there's all these little boxes I can check. Guess what? The help doc tells me which boxes to check. Dropped, bounced, delivered, opened, clicked, unsubscribed, spam reports. Basically, this is what makes our stats work inside of like follow-up funnels. They're just going to tell me, how many people opened that specific email, how many clicked, how many unsubscribed. This makes all of that work for us. So dropped, bounced, delivered. Right? Dropped, bounced, delivered. Open, clicked, unsubscribed, spam reports. Open, clicked, unsubscribed, spam reports. Save that. We're good to go on that front. So save it. Oh, actually here, make sure it'll be by default set to disabled. Make sure you set that to enabled. Save. And we're done. The webhook is enabled. That's going to allow SendGrid to send all the stats to our ClickFunnels account so we can just see those stats inside of ClickFunnels. And with that, we've actually done all the steps. It's done. Our SMTP integration exists. We have all the communication from SendGrid set. Honestly, guys, I almost never log into here. There's a little dashboard in here where once you start sending emails, we'll track some numbers in here. I never use this. I almost never come into here and look in here. Almost never. Unless like my email stopped working for some reason, I might come in here and check it out. But once we have this connected to our ClickFunnels account, right? We can create follow-up funnels, we can create emails, we choose this SMTP. What do I need to go into SendGrid for when I can see all my stats right inside of my ClickFunnels account? So again, all this is doing is handling the delivery. In ClickFunnels, we're designing the email, we're scheduling the emails, who they're going out to, making them look really nice. I don't need to do anything inside of SendGrid. So it's one of these things that you set up and then it's just there for you now to use inside of your ClickFunnels account. Now, another thing you can do is click on this little button to verify email settings. It will send you a confirmation email if everything looks good and it went through. What's kind of weird though is it will go to email on your ClickFunnels account, not the email that you set up here. So I'm going to get that email verification inside of my Gregory@clickfunnels.com email address. It'll look like this. It just says, hi, this is just testing. I'm going to let you know that your SMTP settings on ClickFunnels are verified and working. And actually, I believe if we hit this drop down, look, it comes from my Gregory@vhfunnels.com email. How cool is that? So that is it.